Okay.
Hello, everybody. If you're not on our Zoom and you're on Facebook, I am here with Becky Crawford from
Actually, it's McCormick now.
Oh, McCormick. Becky McCormick.
I got married.
Oh, getting married's fun. Congratulations. But
you got.
well, we're here and we're trying a hybrid option. The first one of its kind. We're Facebook Live and Zoom, so you can join us either way. And we also have Phyllis here with us because Papa Bear had no Wi-Fi, so we're at Phyllis's house, which worked.
Yes.
Right.
Graciously let us in.
And we are going to talk to you about nutrition and how to read your labels. Because companies are very sneaky, aren't they?
Yeah, they can be. Deceptive.
Yeah.
Misleading.
Because,
Yeah.
like
Misleading.
Becky was showing me on this Cheerio box, right? So on a Cheerio box, it says can
That's right.
lower cholesterol,
Yeah,
right?
can help
Can help lower cholesterol. Not that it will.
as
it
part of a
can.
heart-healthy diet.
Yeah.
That's a little deceptive.
Yeah. So Cheerios are actually a good choice. They are, as the front of the box says, 100% whole grain oats. And if you're not sure, you're going to look at the label on the side of the box. And if you see that the first ingredient is whole grain oats, it really is there. So that's a good way to check. It's not just a claim on the front. Yeah, and then to know if it's a good source of fiber, you're going to look under the carbohydrates. There's 3 grams of dietary fiber. So it is, and not all Cheerios are created equal. If you look at some of the other flavors of Cheerios, you'll find they're not quite as healthy. So what do you think they might have more of than
Sugar.
Yes. Bill smells.
What
More
makes you
sugar,
say sugar.
and then there's less of something else that we do want in there.
There's less of the whole
Grains.
grains.
Right. Less whole grains, more sugar. So this is your best choice, is the plain Cheerios, but not always everybody's favorite. But yeah.
But yeah.
Right. And you know, sometimes they're very deceiving, especially for children. And that's a big problem.
Yes.
They
We're
keep
looking.
adding sugar to everything.
Yes, they do. And that is new on the Nutrition Facts label. They broke down added sugars. So under carbs, you'll see sugars, and then you'll see added sugars. Box of raisins. There's going to be some sugar in here, but under the total sugars is 26 grams, no added sugar. So all the sweetness in these raisins comes from the grapes themselves. So there's nothing added. It's a good thing to check.
And there's no ingredient list, so it is just raisins.
That's all that's in there.
It's just raisins.
Just raisins.
Just raisins.
But yeah.
So it's always a good idea when you are grocery shopping or even at home to take a look at the labels and see, you know, for a lot of things. You can look at the Nutrition Facts label. Every label will always also tell you where the product was made. So it's on there somewhere, and sometimes you're going to look for it. This is some organic sweet potato puree. It's USDA organic, and it is grown in the USA. So that's important for some people. We're looking for things that are, if you have a choice, maybe that are grown here in the United States. So
There was a big study that somebody went and tried to check in a department store or in the any place
yeah,
for the amount of things that are made in China.
yeah, from
Versus-
America.
Yes. Versus America.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other interesting thing is you might not realize what the actual serving size of an item is.
Yeah,
Like, I was very surprised at the one you showed me earlier. The cooking spray.
the cooking spray.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you think, like, when you put a cooking spray in your pan, how many times do you go around the pan, you make sure it's all covered? Like, what would you say, we've got a couple people watching on Facebook, and Teresa's on our Zoom, if you were to guess how long you spray the cooking spray in a pan, how long do you think you'd spray it?
I don't use it, so
I probably do it too much, but I tend to want to get everything good and covered. I don't know.
I was thinking like 3-5 seconds, right? Like, it takes
2
a
or
little
3
bit.
anyways.
Right. So
This is cooking spray made with canola oil, which everybody knows does have calories. But if you look at the Nutrition Facts label, and if all you're focusing on is calories, I don't know if you can see it. 0.
it says 0 calories.
0. There are
Right.
no calories in here.
until
How can that be? How can that be? It's canola oil.
Right.
How did that happen?
because a serving size is 1/15th of a second, right?
A fifth.
A fifth.
fifth of a
1/5
second.
of a second is a serving size.
Wow.
I don't know
So-
how much you can cover in a fifth of a
Fifth-
second.
yeah.
I don't even know if I can do it that fast.
But I guess you also have to divide it by how many people are eating it and how many servings come out of your pan. But I still think
But for some people might look at this and think it's a free food. There's no calories.
I can eat as much of it. There's no calories.
Spray away. Who knew it
But
was
you're
bad?
what are you getting? Yeah, like everything says zero protein, 0 fat.
Because it's all per serving. Everything that's on the nutrition facts label is per serving. So
Yeah.
in this case, the serving is only a fifth of a second. If you were to, and it's
Realistically,
not, you will use
Yeah.
more than that.
Well,
And-
anybody could eat that fast.
it's not how fast you eat it.
And then I love the asterisk after the first ingredient
Yeah.
that says canola oil. Do you
it
see what
says it adds a trivial amount of fat.
A trivial amount.
Yeah,
Right.
So-
but it's trivia how much fat it actually adds.
Trivial.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
Those
So,
are very
yeah.
good examples.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Mhm.
we have to look closely at the labels, and very few people really look at the labels.
Yes, that's true. Most of us don't unless we have a medical condition that we have to. If we're looking, we're trying to avoid something. You're trying to avoid peanuts or wheat or, allergy. If you're gluten intolerant and you're trying to find gluten on the label, you do need to read the ingredients. You need to read the labels. Some people have sensitivities to things, artificial
Right.
sweeteners. You might not want, sometimes they have laxative effects on us, and that might not be something you want to consume.
Yes.
And it's in some things that you wouldn't expect it to be in.
Well, and also the ingredients change. So
Yeah.
if you read a label 1 month when you go shopping, that label might not be the same
No.
the next time you go shopping. Like we were talking about the tuna,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And-
When we were little, a can of tuna used to feed 2 or 3 people. So that's something also that has changed imperceptibly almost. This can of tuna is not the same size. If I had one from when I was a child, this is not the same size can. It looks like it, right? It looks like the exact same one, but it's
The label's the same. It's how you remember it.
slightly smaller, and apparently this is now a single serving can. One
Right.
person.
This is so obvious when you go and you start looking at the content of a package of whatever cereal or something of that nature, and you find out that the bag is only half full anymore.
Mhm.
Sold
Same
by volume,
box,
not
but inside it's quite different.
And again, reading those labels, reading what's on the package. The first time that I noticed on a brand of ice cream that it said still a full half gallon. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You're still full a half gallon, others are not? No,
No,
they're
they're
not.
not.
A half
They're
a gallon
not.
of ice cream is no longer a
They've
half a
made
gallon.
them not square and rounded, so they cut off the little sides.
Somebody
and-
somewhere decided that people would rather pay the same for less than pay more for the same. So, instead of keeping this can the same size and increasing the price, people would rather pay the same price and get less. It's pretty much the same thing, but
Wow.
But it must be just perception.
it is. It's just the way
But-
it's packaged or labeled,
That's right.
sold.
Mhm. Right. And it's sometimes it's very confusing for
Yeah.
people. It really is. And-
Again, thinking that I was going to make a couple sandwiches for people. Nope, you got one sandwich, one person. That's one serving in that can of tuna.
Yeah.
Right.
And like we were saying earlier, when I started looking at what I was eating, like a serving size of lunch meats, like when I make a sandwich, I put one piece of lunch meat on my husband's sandwich or something, and that's not a serving size. It's like 3 to 5, depending on the kind of meat you're eating. An
Right.
actual and how thick it's cut. It depends. And
Yes.
like those bags of salad, you're going somewhere and you want to take salad and you buy a bag of salad. If you really look on the back of it, that's one serving size. So a bag of
It's a good
salad
choice,
is one
though.
serving.
But
I'm like,
there's
maybe I
nothing
should
else
eat the
in-
lettuce because there's lots of it.
Yeah.
I can eat more if I do that.
But you can't eat anything else with it.
No, well, you
No,
can.
it doesn't count the dressing.
No, and again, dressings. You think you're having something wonderful like a salad and getting all these veggies, and then you dump a bunch of ranch dressing on there. So being mindful of maybe choosing the creamier dressings less and the oil and vinegar more. There's a light raspberry vinaigrette that's amazing. amazing.
Yes, it is.
And
Well, we
spinach
made
or
when we
salad.
had the retreat. You remade it for us, Teresa. That dressing that was delicious. What was that dressing?
I can't remember what was in it, Kristen. I do feel like there was coconut milk in there too, and honey, and
Yeah, and it was delicious.
I have it
was
somewhere. I'll
delicious.
share it with you guys.
Yeah, the recipe. It was really good.
Well, she has to produce it now.
Well,
for
no,
us,
they
and-
sent us all the recipes, so I should have it somewhere too.
Oh, okay,
But yeah,
Yeah,
it was delicious.
right.
Yep.
yeah, it was the kind of thing that would work really well on greens, and but it also went on quinoa, kind of like
Yes.
boost that up too. So yeah, I can send it to you. It's got it somewhere.
It sounds
It was
good.
it was delicious.
It sounds good.
But it's all in like portion sizes
Yes,
too.
and a real easy way to remember portion sizes is your hand, because you always have your hand with you. So if
You
you
can't forget
make
that at home.
if you make a fist, your fist is about a cup. Okay, so and then the palm of your hand, the middle here, is about a serving of meat. We were talking about the 3 to 4 ounces. And if you have a big husband with big hands, guess what? He needs more protein. His hand's bigger, yeah. He needs more protein. He's a bigger guy, so he does need more. Little people, small hands, they don't need big servings. So sometimes we think, oh my gosh, they're not eating that much. They are. They're eating an age-appropriate size.
Well, because your stomach is the size of your fist.
Yes.
Most
Yeah.
people. So when
Yeah,
people
when you
think
look at
babies
little-
aren't eating, and
Yeah, when
if
you
you
look
look
at
at a
it,
baby's
your-
fists.
Sure. How
It's
much food do
teeny.
you think can fit in there? So so little people need more frequent meals. Smaller meals just more frequently.
Yeah.
Snacks.
Smaller, more frequent.
Snacks are super important
Right,
for all of us, but for little people especially.
right. Now, little people doesn't mean short.
No, it means young.
No. Yeah.
Not fully grown.
Not fully grown.
Yes, children.
Yeah. Age appropriate snacks.
Yes.
Age appropriate.
And
Well-
multiple meals.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, age appropriate, I could eat anything.
What's it gonna do? Kill me?
Right, that's true. Well, I know with my kids especially, if they go too long, like if they eat a big meal and then people don't think they need snacks,
They
like
get a little hangry.
they do, they get hangry. I've learned if we go on vacation somewhere or on a day trip, the first thing we need to do is stop somewhere and eat.
Right,
So I'm like, we're not doing anything else because it'll ruin the entire day.
right.
Yeah,
But that's true,
Right.
that's true not only with
No, it's
children.
everybody.
It's everybody.
yeah. Bring those snacks. Plan them.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Don't question why I'm bringing 20 granola bars. Just know you're going to appreciate those 20 granola bars in the end.
Right.
Yes. And I like your plate.
Thank you. So I brought my plate, and again, that's a great visual reminder to try to make half our plate fruits and vegetables. And again, we were talking about this earlier, that Kristen was saying she's had more of a focus on nutrition and health during COVID. We're home. What else we got to do? So thinking about trying to make eating healthier, doing what we can to improve our health, in bumping up our immune system, especially with the fruits and veggies. Yeah, and then you're right sizing it so they make up most of our plate. That the protein is, guys, it's not half the plate. It really only needs to be about a quarter of the plate. Trying a whole grain and maybe a dairy. And that doesn't mean that we have 5 food groups every meal, every day. That's the way you should eat. This is overall, because we know that there's days when you're just grabbing a banana and you're lucky you got that for breakfast.
Or if you feel tired and maybe you need a little more iron, and
Yeah.
then you need a little more protein that day. And
Yep.
Right.
Putting good fuel in your body produces, yeah. It's in and, that in and out
Or
kind of
maybe a
thing.
little more sugar, and you could have a piece of candy.
Well,
Boost
the
to our-
story that I like to tell is when I had one of my first infusions. I asked the nurse for a bottle of water, and she looks at me and she goes, "I know you're trying to behave and drink water, but do you know you're diluting your blood sugar right now?" She's like, "So it's really much better for you if you drink something sugary like a juice or a soda or
ginger
eat
ale
a
or something,
candy."
yeah.
And once I started doing that, my infusions went a whole lot better. But I didn't think about you don't think about things
No.
like that. Like if you're adding things in or taking medication or getting an IV, you're actually
Yes.
so
Diluting.
people in the hospital end up feeling worse because they're limited. Most people don't realize you can write things on the menu at the hospital and they'll bring you other things other than what's on it.
Right?
But they're eating what they're supposed to, and it's the IVs and everything are diluting their blood sugar level, and
You know, in my nursing career, I couldn't understand why there was a specific thing for somebody who was in the hospital that their bread had to be toasted for breakfast or whatever. And it wasn't until I was an old lady that I learned that
you're not an old lady.
that the consistency of the bread is changed by the heat, and it changes totally. And so that's the reason why people have to have toasted bread in the hospital on a particular diet.
Maybe have less chance of choking.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think it would change the nutritional content. I mean, it shouldn't change the. Only thing would change would be moisture. It would be less
Yeah.
moist.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that is an interesting fact.
Right.
I know the one when my husband was in the hospital after he had a stroke, and then the nurse or doctor came in and tried telling us the big changes to his diet. No more ground beef. I looked at her. I said, "You can stop right there. He's been here 3 days, and every day you've given him some sort of ground beef or something." Meatballs. Yeah, he had ground beef every day he was there.
That's when you say no.
We're leaving now.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yes.
that sometimes you have to call doctor's attention to a certain thing. Yeah, and sometimes they just think it's ho-hum. And you have
Right.
to say, I can't eat that, I'm allergic to it, or something of that nature.
Well, and to say you're not going to ever eat ground beef is not realistic. We
Right.
eat much leaner ground beef, and we don't eat it as often. So that's, his
Right.
cholesterol is fine.
Right.
But
But if there's a particular thing that a person has to have versus cannot have, that has to be called, you have to call attention to the doctor or the nurse
Yeah.
or whomever,
Yeah.
the dietitian.
well, yeah.
Yes.
Well, and like we were talking about earlier, a lot of it is mindset and not thinking that it's a diet, looking at it more of a lifestyle change and
Or a
not
shift. We call
a
it.
shift and not thinking of it in a way, well, I'm not going to have that because it's bad for me, or
Right.
I'm in trouble and I should be punished because I eat a cookie. Like,
No.
you need to look at it as you made that choice, and at that choice, it was the right choice for you. Eating an entire package of cookies is probably not the right choice.
No.
But you don't have to.
But no, you don't have to deny yourself anything,
Right.
because once you do that or set one food up as being better than another, like holding out dessert as a reward, if you eat your carrots, you can have a cookie. That means, the cookie's better than the carrots, or the carrot, somehow there's a value placed to it. So not doing that and just, offering food, letting kids eat as much as they know how hungry they are, as we all should. Our hunger cues sometimes get messed up, but just letting them eat as much as they want and deciding thinking about eating. Our job as parents is to offer the food at regular times. We decide where we're going to eat. Children decide if they're going to eat. If you've ever tried to make a child eat, it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Don't-
That
don't-
commercial that lady's chasing
Oh,
the kid around the house.
Just one more bite.
Yeah, right.
She needs to stop. No, don't do that. Don't chase your child. Don't bribe them. It's offer. They can choose it or not. If they don't choose it, see ya. Next meal. They'll probably, if they've passed over much of dinner, they'll probably be a little hungry later. And if you have, an evening snack planned, you do a snack, and then you're
Right.
fine. And I said the next meal you'll be a little hungrier. I don't like the idea. I've heard some parents say, well, if you don't eat your supper, you'll see it tomorrow for breakfast. I'll wrap it up and put it in the fridge, and here it is again. It's not any better. Newsflash. The
or
next day.
sit here until you clean your plate.
Oh, my kid would still be sitting there. That's not a battle you can ever win. And if you talk to adults about something that they will never in a million years eat, it's something they were generally made to eat as a child.
Right.
So don't do that.
Yes.
It's not a
You
good
give them
idea.
the healthy options,
Yeah.
and as long as they're choosing a healthy option,
More often
Right.
than not.
Right.
And the unhealthy options we call those are sometimes food.
Right.
We have everyday food like apples and bread, things that we eat every day. And the sometimes foods like the chocolate shakes, or this time of year I think my brain's on chocolate because Valentine's was just there, and I tried to resist the after Valentine's Day half price
Price
candy sale.
were you successful?
I stayed
Oh,
out
good.
of
Look at you.
I stayed out.
Good. Well, I know, especially with my kids, if they don't like what's for dinner, because with 3 of them, odds are someone will not like what I cooked for dinner unless it's spaghetti.
Right.
Uh-huh.
There is the option, I will not make another dinner, but you can make yourself a peanut butter sandwich.
There you go.
They have that option. They all like peanut butter sandwiches. So
Nobody's starving. Nobody's going
I'm
hungry.
like, it's not every night.
No.
Listen, when I was growing up, you had to eat everything at that meal because that's all you got.
Yeah.
And there was no snacks. And
Where were the
your
starving children when you were growing up?
Your snack was a white cracker. That and you might get jelly on it because your mother made the jelly.
My dad liked it with butter.
Oh,
He
okay.
ate the
But
white
were
crackers
you
with
part
butter.
of the clean plate club? You had to clean your plate.
No, there was nothing like you had to clean your plate because that's all there was.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't eat,
You'll be hungry.
that's it. Too bad, right? And that's the way it was. And so kids don't understand that now because
Right.
of the plenty.
Right, and I think part of it, like, I've noticed, like, watching my grandparents, because of what they lived through during the Depression, you always had a starch, potatoes with every meal. You
Right.
always had those things. And it was, we didn't have it when we were younger to eat it, so you better eat everything that's there.
Right.
And it created that culture
Yeah.
that you have to eat everything that's there. It's a
The
waste
clean
if
plate
you
club.
don't.
Well,
Don't
yeah.
stop when you're full.
They're starving children somewhere. I
Right.
always wanted to mail them my lima beans. I would have
Well, yeah.
gladly put them in the mail to them.
But I think in doing that, some people took it to the other extreme and ended up with bad relationships
Oh,
with
yeah.
food.
Yes. And I don't know if you've seen any of the commercials for Noom. It's a
Yes.
an
Yeah.
ad. And again, they kind of get back to the psychology of it, the clean plate club, the
Right.
if you love me, you'll eat this. Oh, I made this just for you. No,
No.
it isn't. And I always, when we make something, I tell my kids or participants, whoever, if they don't want to try it, that's fine. If they taste it and they don't like it, it's also fine. I don't, I'm not upset. I don't take it personally. So taking that little step away from the food, I made this, you should love it. Well, I
Yeah.
might not love it. I still love you, but I might not love what
You
you
can't-
made.
I think the key to that is not adding emotion to food.
Yes, absolutely.
We
It's-
use
don't take it
food as
personally
comfort,
Right.
or
Yes.
we use food to make us happy, or we use food
when we're sad.
as a reward.
Right.
And I think changing the mindset and using food
Yep.
for nutrition alone makes
Yes.
a big difference.
And some of that we've been talking about that a lot too is what we call mindfulness. So just being kind of aware of your meal and maybe taking a moment to look at it first. Is it look colorful? Does it look nice? Appreciating the work that went into to making something. If you made a pizza with all kinds of toppings on it, all the beautiful things that were on there, and then enjoying it, really appreciating it in the way it smells, the way it tastes, the texture. I mean, like,
Yes.
for me, it's all about mouthfeel. When I have a chocolate melts at 93 degrees in my mouth, and I'm like, just that sensation
Right. And I
of
think
chocolate melting.
I think being mindful of what you're eating too
Yep.
makes, like, I know a big thing for me was I would pick at everything while I was cooking.
Yep.
If I'm making a pizza, well, I might eat 5 pieces of pepperoni before they make it on the pizza. And, I'm putting black olives on the pizza. Let me just open the whole jar, and I make half of the jar, and half of it
How
goes on the
did you
pizza.
notice that you were doing it? Because it's so common that we
Yes.
all do that.
So I
but what made you
started
aware?
a food journal, and I found an app on my phone. It's MyFitnessPal.
Yep.
It's a free one, and you can even scan the barcodes on your food, and it puts it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even have to type all the information, and it tracks all your nutrition. And then I realized, like, half of my calories every day were just coming while I'm making all the kids' sandwiches, and I'm eating 2 chips off this plate and 3 chips out of the bag while I'm putting them on the plate. And then I'm eating 3 pieces of lunch meat before I even make my sandwich because I'm eating them while I'm making the other.
Sure.
And the amount of food you just eat because it's just there.
That's mindlessly eating. Yes,
Correct.
that's mindlessly eating. Oh my
So
goodness.
putting it into that journal and realizing how many calories a day I was just
Right.
mindlessly
Free snacking.
consuming.
Yep. And I do encourage folks to do that too. When anybody attends like a nutrition class, usually your intention is to do better, to eat healthier, to
Right.
improve your health. But you kind of got to know where you're starting from, where you're at now, and that's a great way to do it. There's so many ways you can do it. You can write it down. You can take a picture of it. So anything that goes into your mouth that has calories, record it. And I always tell people, you don't have
Even
to
if it's
show
5
another
calories, right.
living soul.
Right.
But you have to look at it, and if you're writing it down, if you're able to make those notes, angry, lonely,
Right.
bored, next to it, and then it's what do I do instead? Instead of reaching for that, what am I gonna? You have to have a plan, kind of. What are you gonna do instead?
So I made the thing that I would not eat anything unless I was sitting down at the counter or the table. So I took away
No
that.
safe eating.
Right. Like I took away while I'm making everything, eating it, because I would wait until my plate was fully made,
Uh-huh.
and then I would sit down
And enjoy.
and enjoy my food. And I found myself feeling fuller and eating less.
And that's key. I mean, so you're not denying. You don't feel like
No.
I'm a martyr. I've done all these
Right.
things to,
Yeah.
Well,
that's
and
true.
once you're doing it and you're eating, you're not giving yourself time to digest or your food to move through.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm still hungry because I know I'm hungry, and I'm just continually putting food in my mouth, and then I'm over full, and then I feel like
So how long do you think it
Right.
takes for your brain to get the message that your stomach is full?
I think it takes about 20 minutes if that's correct.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Oh,
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So don't let your
Wow.
children just, inhale a bunch of food and run off,
right,
Yeah.
So
it takes
I
20 minutes.
started taking my time and
right.
eating slower, and
Enjoying your
One
food.
day I was
Right.
talking to my brother who was in World War II, and he told me that all of the soldiers complained about their diets because there was no meat.
Mhm.
But the thing that they were getting was cabbage, potatoes, vegetables of all kind, and they were all fresh vegetables. They weren't produced or anything like that, and they were really getting the best diet that they could have. And even though they, couldn't get
Minus
the
protein.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
but protein, your energy is gonna go
Yeah.
tank
You do
without some
you
protein.
do need some protein. Unfortunately, though, if you've been grocery shopping lately, that's probably the most expensive thing that you've
Right.
bought.
It's meat.
So
Oh,
again,
yeah,
it's
prices
looking
are all
looking
going
at my
up.
plate and making that protein fit the quarter of the plate, not half of it, will help a little bit. And varying what kind of meats you're eating. So it isn't always beef. It's not always hamburger, chicken, and throw some eggs in there once in a while. We do breakfast for dinner. Fish.
I
Yeah.
couldn't believe
Beans.
the prices on the meat
Yes.
lately.
And
Yeah.
it's going to vary. Beef will go up and down. Same thing, pork and chicken.
We had to increase our household grocery budget because we realized what we had set for like the last 3 months is not sufficient. We had to increase it just.
Yeah, on average, I think it's around $250 or $267 more a month that
Yeah.
the American family is spending on groceries. And that's just inflation, and probably nobody's job has kept up with inflation. So
Right.
currently, for various reasons, inflation's
Hey,
high.
the people at
in the costs.
McDonald's now, that's pretty good. Their salaries.
But it's
Probably
still,
better than mine.
but it's still, people are getting like 3 to 5% raises, but inflation's
It's
going
6
up
to
at
7%.
7%.
Yeah, so you're still falling
Yes.
So
behind.
even you
Yeah.
might be making more money, but you're making less money
Right.
when
And
it comes to buying things.
I think a trend that we saw a lot during COVID was that people were gardening more. A lot of
Yes.
home gardening, even if it was just a container or something. And I love seeing that because there's so much you can do just indoors and containers.
Well,
and
and-
outside.
we got a side plug here.
Oh yeah,
Next Wednesday
segue.
at 10:30,
Yes.
we will be doing container gardening and seed starting with Billy Irwin from New Leaf Farm. So you can join us. There's a Zoom link. You can email us for it. It's going out to our email list. So if you're already on our email list, you'll get the Zoom link. But you can also join us on Facebook Live the same way we're doing today.
Yeah.
And we've had like 7-8 viewers pop on our Facebook Live while we've been talking.
Excellent.
So that's excellent. So we have that coming up, so you can learn how to
Yes.
grow some of your own stuff. He's going to talk about better types of soil and worms, and
Yep.
Right.
And it's not complicated. It's really not. It's very, and especially
it's
having
on a
somebody
budget.
show you.
He's
Yes.
showing you on a budget how to
Yep.
do it with little to no money involved.
Oh, good.
Right?
It's
We're going to start a garden at Phyllis's.
Phyllis has a lot of things already growing here.
I know.
Right. Right. But we have a lot of things that are going on, like the Lodi Food Pantry.
Yes.
That is just an excellent community effort because they're getting so much food from
the garden.
the gardens that
Excellent.
are in the area, and the farmers and the gardeners.
And they got that grant that provided restaurants provide prepackaged meals.
Uh-huh.
Right, Teresa, right? They provide a bunch of prepackaged meals for the food pantry
Right.
clients, and they can go and get it. It's like $22,000 or $25,000 worth of
Wow.
Food.
yeah.
Good.
Right. Yeah.
So there's all kinds of
yeah.
good things.
Yeah,
going
I'll just say that that's called the Restaurant Resiliency Program. You probably met Becky, and all of our 3 pantries on the south end have that. So Ovid and Lodi, and they're receiving from Serendipity a packaged meal. Lodi gets about 100 of them on a Saturday, and they figure, I'm not exactly sure what the other cities are, but very nice. The grant is a USDA grant that ends at the end of March. So,
But it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome stuff.
Yes.
well, the problem is we're back to talking about and thinking about this inflation, the cost of food. I bought some milk at well over $4 on the
Yeah.
weekend.
Uh-huh.
And so that's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
For dairy, I think I noticed quite a increase in dairy in particular. I don't know if it's because
There's a
It
lot
is.
of reasons.
Well, and-
Some dairies are dumping because they don't have the
Yeah.
trucks to
Right.
come and
But-
carry their food away. And some, instead of dumping, are just selling directly out of the farm. We found that
Yeah.
during COVID too, a lot of the beef farmers, when they couldn't get their beef to market and to stores or places that normally sold it, they were offering it to the public. So, direct to consumer, which has been a great savings for a lot of people. It's worked
Yeah.
out better. So some of those new networking things have formed during this.
Well, I think the food insecurity thing, and I'm sure you talked to Sandy about it too along the way, is that there's a lot more activity. We have the food truck coming in, with food pantries, and there's just a lot more opportunity for that. But it's the utilization is there, even though sometimes the numbers look confusing. Like, are they going up? Are they going down? The need is really great
Yes.
here on the.
And it's the need has shifted. The population that is in need is people that never ever expected to be.
Right.
We lost so many small businesses and home businesses during COVID, people that never ever had to ask anybody for anything. Young families that were forced to move back in with their parents. I don't know how many of the mobile food pantries I've attended, and when I ask people, how many are in your family, one gentleman very sadly says 10. I'm like, 10? And he's like, yes. And, because his daughter and her husband and their kids moved back in with him because they couldn't, afford the rent anymore because nobody was working because the places they worked were shut down. So, been a lot of disruptions, a lot of people needing the help with food.
Right, yeah. And I think that if somebody does need food, they could call any resource in the area, and they could be
No
guided
no
to
pantry will deny you food.
Right.
No, I
No.
think but there's also a stigma with it, and a lot of people were raised with the stigma
That you don't ask for
that
handouts.
you don't ask for handouts, and
But that's the older
it
days.
needs to change. It
Yeah.
needs to
No,
change.
well, it's anybody who's we see it in small towns like, well, I'll go to a food distribution somewhere else because I don't want anyone to see me in line, and we really have to get rid of the shame associated
That's
with
right.
I think people should be applauded or praised for seeking out help. It means that you're utilizing all the resources that are out there that are available to you,
Right.
and it's a very smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And then share it with your neighbors. If you go to the distribution, you get more than you need. Share it with your neighbors. That's a wonderful thing to do too.
Right. Another
Pass it along.
trend,
Right.
another interesting trend that I've seen, Becky, I don't know if you've seen, is that the Amish, there's increased household utilization in Amish. I know there was like 11 or so families served this past Saturday. And, I have seen a lot of horse and buggies at Food Link and
Yeah.
the mall. But
Good.
so I don't know I just imagine that Amish struggle like English folk. In the time of year, maybe you're running low on some of your produce and stock or whatever, but there's an increase there too on our end.
Yep.
And
Interesting.
I know with the weather, that caused a lot of problems for
Yeah.
some of the farmers with all the flooding we had this year.
Yeah, every year it's a challenge. It's
Oh.
something different.
Yeah.
It took forever to get warm last year, and then when it finally did,
Then it just rained
Yeah.
nonstop.
yeah.
It's
Didn't have
always
to water
a
the
toss
garden.
up, right?
Yeah.
It's something or something else.
And can you
It's always
imagine if that's
something.
how you make a living? You know, the farmers that
Right.
do that every year and somehow keep going.
But I think that when we come to a problem, it really shows the creativity of people.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to overcome a problem,
Yeah.
they get very creative.
Yep.
And
It's resiliency.
That's the word I was thinking of, being
People
resilient.
are resilient.
yes,
Yes, they
Right.
are. And we adapt because what choice do you have? You have to adapt to the new
and
circumstances.
everybody is so upset with the situation we are in America. But if they go back into history,
We've been
they
here
will
before.
find that, this has happened
It's
before.
cyclical.
Yeah, we've been here before.
And
We've done it.
We've
gotten
overcome
through
it,
And we'll do it again.
and it'll happen again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have no doubt.
Yeah, right. But the resilience of the individuals is marvelous. And especially the parents of young children have to think of different ways of eating or feeding the children or their activities,
Entertaining.
entertaining.
Yep. Kristen shared with us the way that she did gym class with her children
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
at home.
We ran around the yard.
Yes,
We
right.
did the couch to 5K and
Right.
we would run. But I think the kids are learning from their parents, and if the parents
Oh, they have
are
to.
complaining and not being resilient,
Right.
that's how they're learning to be. But if they're watching their parents figure
Adapt.
out ways and adapt and accept what it is and how they need to move on, I think
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
that's how we're raising the next generation. It'll be
I
interesting
mean, Lord,
to see how it
they've
plays out.
adjusted
Well,
to
something
this.
happened to the generation that's kind of in the middle here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're seeing that people are not really looking at taking advantage of the resources that we have through the whole area.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about food,
No,
but
yeah,
anything.
it's
Right.
that
It's a
helps.
stigma. Anything to accept money from anything has a stigma to it,
Mhm. Right.
and it's changing thought processes on that.
It shouldn't be.
Yes, right. But I don't think it's everybody thinking that
No.
way. No.
No.
I hope not.
We really got off of a tangent on nutrition here.
Right. Right. But I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm always concerned about the people that are living alone and cannot get out to get what they need.
Right. Right.
And that's
Well,
my,
there's
that's my,
who was telling us. It was Christine, wasn't it? At the last Risers meeting, was telling us there's a program and they will come down here
oh, right.
and
They
take
will.
food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Ayers,
Yes.
EHLER. You might know her.
Oh, Chris Ehlers. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
I do know.
She's the food and security
Yep.
director, and
Yep.
she does have access to mobile pantries
Yep.
and
Yep.
delivery of food. Well, I do a little bit of that. Actually, all of our South End pantries will do a little bit on an as needed basis and help with some mileage reimbursement for somebody that might be willing to do that. There's been more and more about those types of requests too, because the inflation and the price of gas and unreliable vehicles and other barriers.
Weather.
So,
Yeah.
weather.
All those things. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We were seeing previously when they did the mobile food distributions, because they had started, they were coming into Cuyahoga County anyway before COVID hit. They would ask for, not for verification, but they would ask, how many are in your family? And occasionally if somebody said, well, there's my next door neighbor's got, a couple
Right.
kids, can I pick up for them? They weren't doing that. They really wanted, because if they did it, we did it once, and then we saw magically every car suddenly had
More people?
more people added on that they needed, and not saying that people were being just honest and all,
Right,
but
right.
and so now, but what we have seen in the more rural areas is people doing exactly what Phil's worrying about, checking in on their neighbors. I'm going there Tuesday. Can I get you something? Do you need anything?
Yes.
Can I pick up for
Yes.
all these families? Yes, you can. We're seeing home health aides and service agencies pick up for clients. So A lot of people have been housebound, or for whatever reason, they're afraid to go out. They don't want to be exposed. So, whatever the reason is, and there were fewer and fewer volunteers available, but
Right.
So the takeaway
Neighbors-
point from this
neighbors are
is
doing
there
helping
is
each
help if you need it. You just need to ask.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Ask your neighbors if they need help, and when you need help, make sure you ask for it. Because all of those wonderful resources are out there, and the bottom line is we want people to eat well, to be have the healthy foods that they need, and maybe some of the things that they want.
We want our communities to thrive.
Absolutely, that's the bottom line.
All the time. Right.
Well, tomorrow night
Yes.
we plugged we're wrapping up, so because we got way off on a tangent.
That's right.
But we plugged that Billy will be doing his container class, and tomorrow night at 6 p.m. we are doing in person.
That's right.
So you can come out to Papa Bear, bring your favorite board game, or we will have a whole bunch of games that you can play.
Right.
And from 6 to 8, we're going to have some popcorn
Right.
and some granola bars and some snacks.
And no sugar.
No, no sugar. Only healthy sugars, because you could do raisins,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
No added sugar.
Added
added
sugar,
no
yeah,
added
only
sugar.
natural sugars, which means fruit.
But
Yeah.
we will be playing some board games,
But
and
it
you
should
can
be
come
fun.
out and interact with some of the community members.
That's
I know of at least 8 kids that I think are coming,
good.
and Phyllis and I will be there with my kids, not your kids, my kids,
Yes. Right.
and we will be playing some games. And
Right. And the thing of it is that you're going to get to know other people in your community.
Yeah.
And maybe the children that are there don't know the children that are coming. And so
friends.
it is
Yep.
getting together as a
if you
community.
can watch our Facebook and you want to come to our
Right.
game night, you are more than welcome to come to our game night and play some games.
Right.
And if you have our bingo board, our steps board,
Oh, right.
play a board game and learn a new card game are 2 of the squares on that bingo board, and you could cross them both right off.
That's right.
See?
Right.
See?
Yes.
Look at us.
Multitasking.
And so anyway, it has been an enjoyable time here.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
We learned a lot, and I hope everybody that joined our Facebook Live, I think our end count is 18 people
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
that
marvelous.
joined our Facebook Live. I hope everybody learned something, and we will be putting this video in our e-news
Right.
that will go out tomorrow, so more people can see it there, and it'll be on our YouTube page. So if you missed it here, but if you hear me saying it, then you didn't miss it.
No.
But
So,
anyway,
yes.
It has been enjoyable.
Thank you for joining us.
And
Well, thank you,
we-
ladies, and have a great rest of the day. I'll see you later.
All right, sounds good.
Bye, Teresa.
Thanks, Sandy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Where's the...
It's behind your phone.
Is it behind my phone? I can't see it. Okay. There we go. So anyway, all right. So yes. Oh, who said hi to us? Somebody said hi to us. Oh, Tina said hi. Tina, if you rewatch it, we're saying hi back to you. We were just busy talking.
Sorry.
So anyway, I think we covered quite a bit.
Yes,
We've got
we did.
our Facebook
Right.
Live hybrid Zoom. That worked really well, actually. I'm
Yes.
kind of impressed with how well that worked. So we'll have our hybrid container class next week and game night tomorrow night.
Right.
And
Right. And even if, just grab somebody and come to the game.
yeah,
night.
even come by yourself. Phyllis and I are friendly. We'll
That's
play
right.
games.
Yeah.
Tina, you should come to our game night tomorrow.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
We're
right.
gonna have fun.
Yes, and if it's
Bring kids.
successful, maybe next week we'll play bingo for a penny.
Well, no. The next one is March 6th. There's going to be a puzzle afternoon. You can come to Three Bears and do some puzzles.
Oh, that's
Right?
right.
It's a
Yes.
good thing to do in the
We
winter.
got that. We thought that would be
Right.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do some puzzles. Mhm.
Right.
Word puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, crossword puzzles, whatever puzzles you want to do.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yes, the great ones are the word building puzzles.
I like jigsaw puzzles.
And, she's okay.
But yes, brain building puzzles are good.
Yes, right.
You
Mm-hmm.
can do like Rubik's Cube and those
Yeah.
sort of puzzles.
Any
and-
puzzles.
right.
No, they
It's a
frustrate
puzzle
me.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Jigsaw
And then I know that March 9th at the Lodi Library, well, we're covering Steps events coming up. We might as well
Right.
plug them all. March 9th at the Lodi Library. That you have to pre-register, so there's an email and information in our weekly e-news about it. But there's going to be a panel about our micro enterprise program, and 2 local business owners, Billy Irwin and Laurel McDonald, are going to discuss
Building
a small business in the area, so you can join that. There's limited seats in person, so if you want to come in person, but they're also going to have the Zoom option, so
Right.
you can do it that way. So that's March 9th. And like I said, come play games with us tomorrow night.
Right, and it's
We'll be there. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. No matter what, it'll be fun.
No matter what, Phyllis and I always have fun together, so we'll draw y'all and ask Becky.
Right. Yes.
We make it fun.
That's right.
Well, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.